Jack Walker leading Blackburn Rovers out. Now what a gesture that is from the management team. Well, it is the club that Jack built, isn't it? Well, I've never seen that before. What a moment for Jack Walker, lifelong Blackburn Rovers supporter. Followed out there by Tim Sherwood, the skipper, who just for a moment I think was going to hold the rest back. We've seen that done before. And let Jack go on his own. How about that? Great gesture. A smashing, Gary, isn't it?
Excellent. He will love that. He's done tremendous things at the club with Kenny, and leading the side out at Wembley. That's been a dream of his for a long time.
Side by side with Alex Ferguson, the manager of the champions and the FA Cup winners, Manchester United, who's done it before. Look, just I think pointing out the way to Jack there. John Scales, you've played in the Cup final, you've played in the Charity Shield before. Do you echo what Gary's saying, the best stadium in the world to play in?
Yeah, I mean, I obviously haven't had the experience of playing at too many other stadiums around the world, but yeah, it's going back since such a long time ago, the '88 Cup final, and playing the Charity Shield sort of 3 or 4 months later. It's a fabulous place to be involved in any game, and a player, I think, you know, it's very difficult to realise when you come in these situations in Cup finals. You always expect to come back over and over again, but you know, it never happens. So I think they'll relish a chance of playing here today. Any opportunity, it's a fabulous place and a great atmosphere today.
There's the manager of Rovers, Kenny Dalglish, look, all smiles. There's a rarity, some might say, but I think Jack Walker, the focus of his attention, and a great moment for the owner. There he is. Well, he's in privileged territory. Not many have done that, Jack. And now, of course, the official presentations. There's another legendary figure in the Northwest, Tom Finney. I think they know each other fairly well. Sir Bert Miller-Chip and Graham Kelly there, of course. Tom, the former England international. President of Preston North End these days. CBE in 1991. It's nice that these football characters get involved on occasions like this, and right too. David May of Manchester United, Blackburn Rovers at the end of last season. I should think he's pleased that Alan Shearer isn't about today. New strip for United, whatever the rights and wrongs of that, it does look well. Alex Ferguson, who's won the lot, of course, both sides of the border. Philip Don, our official today. Couldn't have a better setting, couldn't have a better day for it. So for the Charity Shield, Manchester United against Blackburn Rovers, commentators Andy Gray and Martin Tyler.
Thanks, Richard. Hello again, everyone. The occasion here, such a laudable one. Money raised by football for good causes. But as far as the game itself is concerned, clashes between Alex Ferguson and Kenny Dalglish, always very, very competitive. Nothing charitable in that respect. Competition over players, of course, between the two clubs. And David May, in a Manchester United shirt, is one intriguing feature this afternoon. Though Paul Parker will be pressing for his regular place by next weekend. Tony Gale has been in the game long enough to know that anything can happen. Even so, last week's phone call from Blackburn must have come as a great surprise. And here he is playing at Wembley for the first time in his life. The Manchester United team, David May will be at right back, Lee Sharp at left back, and Brian McClare in midfield with Dennis Irwin and Roy Keane still recovering from their World Cup exertions. Eric Cantona available today, but not for the first 3 league games after his latest brush with authority. Andy.
Yes, 1 or 2 changes, Martin, but I expect to see that familiar 4-4-2 formation. I'm looking forward to seeing this left side here, with both Sharp and Giggs in tandem. Also look at Paul Ince, number 8, normally regarded as a holding player in there, but I've noticed, and certainly his record pre-season shows, that he's wanting to get forward and start scoring goals early.
Well, Blackburn besieged by injuries. Shearer, Sutton, Newell, Batty, Warhurst, Gallagher, some £15 million of players all out. So that emergency call went out to Tony Gale, who'd been freed by West Ham. Robbie Slater, an Australian international, English-born though, recruited from French football. The loyal Mark Atkins faced Wembley action on his 26th birthday, and 20-year-old Ian Pearce plays up front, and his likely partner this afternoon, Stuart Ripley.
Yeah, lots of changes for Blackburn Rovers, but I expect that familiar 4-4-2. Ripley given a free role to roam about Ian Pearce up front.
So Blackburn Rovers kick off. They won the Charity Shield just once back in 1912. They've played for it only once since then, and that was in 1928. But look at this for a bright start from them. Gary Pallister in trouble as Stuart Ripley departing his normal wide role in midfield to play up front today. He's done that before, of course, and he played the ball into the danger area there, tellingly. Pallister just scrambled it away. Well, their 84 points last season would, in other years, have given Blackburn perhaps the title. A tremendous effort, which certainly merited the invitation from the Football Association to participate today over the claims of Chelsea, who were, of course, runners-up to United in the Cup. Manchester United, the current holders of the Charity Shield, of course. They also won it the first time it was up for grabs. That was 86 years ago. Tim Flowers has now got the #1 jersey for Blackburn. Bobby Mims had it last season. Of course, didn't always play. We are moving towards a second season of squad numbers in the FA Carling Premiership. Both teams using that in this fixture. Called by Hendrick. Ripley having problems with the bounce. And here is Robbie Slater in his preferred position, wide on the right of midfield. He's initially from the Liverpool area, Ormskirk. Made his name in Australian football and has done very well elsewhere in Europe before coming here quite late in his career at the age of 29. Great chance for him at Blackburn Rovers, particularly with the problems that Rovers have at the moment with so many players on the casualty list. Henning Berg, who did play in the World Cup, of course, all 3 of Norway's games. Tim Sherwood, the captain. Peter Schmeichel in lime green today. He's pains to point out that the colour, the choice of the kit manufacturer, not his own personal preference. Very involved right from the start, and Bruce just hesitated and allowed Slater to get possession and get in the cross. Difficult for Pallister. Lee Sharp steers it back to Schmeichel. Andy.
It's been a good start, man, for Blackburn. It really has. Many more changes, I would suggest, than Manchester United, but a very, very positive start. Very confident start. Popping the ball about, trying to get as many players a touch of it early on as they can. I always think that the Charity Shield, many people think, well, it's only at the end of the day a friendly. It's the last real competitive match here pre-season. Players are almost 95% ready to go, and they're using this just for that 5%. Another week of training to go, but that's basically just sharpening up. There'll be no real hard training in the next week. This is probably the toughest training session these players will do. You bet your life they'll compete for it. You don't come to Wembley and don't compete.
Some managers say that in their minds it is a pre-season game, but Alec Ferguson significantly said don't call it that on our behalf today. Neither team in full working order in their pre-season matches. Blackburn indeed have lost 4 of 5 games spread around Europe, in Norway, Denmark, a couple more recently in Scotland, beaten by Aberdeen, with Kenny Dalglish himself played the second half, and 45-year-old coach Tony Parkes came on for the last 15 minutes. Another indication of the difficulties that Rovers have had in getting themselves settled. Here's Pallister. Giggs. So much expected of him this season. Sharp not a rival for his position at the moment because he's being used as a left-back. Leclerc to Ince. And came Graham Lasso, sparkly, used to Wembley of course now, played 3 times for England under Terry Venables here. David May getting some predictable barracking from the Blackburn fans who used to cheer him. And you just feel with all these injuries that Blackburn might be regretting allowing David May to move. It was a freedom of contract situation, but David May would probably say that the initiative didn't come from Rovers to sort it out. Not as much a positive thought as it came from Alec Ferguson and Manchester United. Philip Don is the referee, interrupting his family holiday in France to be here, well briefed about the FIFA guidelines, of course, after his World Cup involvement in the United States. Not seen too much of Kanchelskis as yet. We saw plenty of him last season. Contributed so much to the entertainment factor. Week in, week out.
I think what we've got today as well, 2 of the hardest working defensive units. I'm talking about the back 4 players and the 4 midfield players, Mark. Not often you get 2 teams who have 8 people who work defensively as hard as they do here.
Cantona's flick not coming off. Ripley holding off Ince. Flag is up for offside. Ian Pearce got the ball. Also Jason Wilcox was coming in, but not in what you might call an active position perhaps.
Well, he tried hard, you know, and I tell you what, I'm not so sure. I mean, we talk about strikers been given the benefit of the doubt in this new ruling, man. I'm not so sure that he wasn't in line with Lee Sharp there. I think Pallister had held him up well and he was offside as far as Gary Pallister was concerned, but I think Lee Sharp had dropped in there and Ian Pearce is unlucky not to be allowed to go on there.
Pearce, who has played at the back with his previous club Chelsea, and in a way he's a bit similar to Chris Sutton, a year younger, a player who can do 2 jobs. Kenny Dalglish having to dig deep into his squad to come here and compete in the Charity Shield. Here's Gale. Blackburn Rovers. It's a bit of getting used to it after his time at West Ham, 10 years. A free transfer at the end of the contract that expired in the summer. Just might have been here with West Ham in an FA Cup final 3 years ago, but he got sent off in the semi-final at a crucial stage, and Nottingham Forest won at Villa Park that particular afternoon. Many felt Gale was particularly unlucky.
Well, he was the victim of another law change, wasn't he? That caused a lot of confusion at the time.
Lasso. Wilcox setting off. Both he and Pearce squaring up for a ball into feet. In the end, Lasso chooses to find Ripley. He's shown quite an accomplishment so far as a central striker.
He's got good movement, Mark. He won't be easily marked. At times, I think centre-backs like to mark genuine centre-forwards. And we could be getting the first booking.
It's taken 8 minutes. And it goes to Tim Sherwood for a tackle that shook up Ince.
Well, this is what we're going to get an awful lot of here. Tim Sherwood is slightly late there. I'm going to have to get used to this as well, man. I thought he makes a genuine attempt for the ball there. That wasn't really a violent tackle in any description of the word. But it's going to get a yellow card, and now another one of those, and Tim Sherwood could be in big trouble. Let's hope it settles down as the season goes on.
Wasted ball forward, noted by the Blackburn fans from David May. Ripley making Bruce work hard across the full width of the pitch. He got the throw for Manchester United. Last weekend, Manchester United involved in the international tournament at Ibrox, where they finished 4 of 4. Eric Cantona was in the headlines for the wrong reasons think he was certainly still in the black as far as the deal to Manchester United was concerned, despite the fact that he's seen red on more occasions than anyone would want, particularly him. Henry quickly on Hughes. Here's Brooks, Cantona, who of course loves to come deep and try and dictate things from midfield. The ball there for Giggs to chase. Tim Flowers comes out and smacks it away on the volley, very capably indeed.
Well, he obviously wasn't sure exactly where he was. I think when he makes contact, but look at Giggs' run, it's a wonderful run. And you can't play offside when a player runs that square across the pitch. But obviously Flowers thought if he caught it, he'd go outside the box, therefore conceding a free kick, opted to volley it and got it just about right.
For the pass, and for Kanchelskis, who missed that tournament in Scotland with a minor injury.
It's a great run from Giggs, Mark. It's the kind of run that if a wide man makes, a full-back's got a problem. He desperately wants to pass him on, and he wants to play him offside. But Giggs' run was so good he couldn't.
And stabbed forward in the end by Cantona, Hughes and McClare, the supporting cast. Hughes, who really made a habit of getting goals at Wembley last season. He did it in 4 separate games. Just to refer back to Cantona, they rarely lose, of course, Manchester United when he's in the team, but they did lose 3 of the last 4 league games without him. Just a point to put to you, bearing in mind that they go into 3 league games in the next few days without him. Slater with a deep cross. It's Ian Pearce trying to guide it back. Ripley going in, Schmeichel coming out and using it quickly. Not in the end accurately. Mark Atkins cut it out well. Now Sharp. Lovely warm afternoon. Hardly a breath of wind around Wembley Stadium. Maybe not quite so lovely for the players. But after a summer we spent talking about the difficulties of World Cup temperatures in the United States, it's nothing quite as debilitating as that. And a bright and brisk start here, as you'd expect, between these 2 rivals. So David May is with Manchester United, Roy Keane with Manchester United, a Blackburn target. Alan Shearer with Blackburn, a Manchester United target. Chris Sutton interested United, but chose Ewood Park instead. And big name players become available. We must get used now to Messrs Ferguson and Dalglish. Crossing swords and seeing who can write the biggest sums on the checkbooks. What a nice gesture it was by Kenny Dalglish to bestow on Jack Walker to lead the team out. That's something money can't buy. Has to be rewarded. Kenny Dalglish passing up on the honour himself. He knows a lot about charity shields, of course. His team have conceded a free kick here.
Graham Lasso went a little bit to sleep. He got caught ball watching when the ball was played back to David May. Lasso went forward, but fortunately for him, Shearer was alive to Kanchelskis' run. And I don't know whether that wouldn't have got a yellow card, and it has done. Tim Sherwood booked as well, Martin. Oh no, it's Graham Lasso.
I was going to say it couldn't be Sherwood because he would have been off.
And maybe that's why he wasn't booked. But Graham Lasso's been booked, obviously, for dissent.
That's another thing that the referees are determined to be hot on, indeed, directed to be hot on. Protesting. Giggs takes the free kick. So Lasso and Sherwood both booked inside the opening 14 minutes. Tim Flowers just coming out and having a word with the 2 centre-backs, Colin Hendry and Tony Gale, possibly about a separate incident. Just on that Sherwood foul, I think sometimes in slow motion, you know, incidents do look a bit more dramatic than they really are. And it just looked as though in the replay that Sherwood put his elbow into Kanchelskis' throat.
I wouldn't mind betting you had Sherwood not been booked, Martin, he'd have gotten a yellow card there.
Tim Sherwood, also a Wembley debutant today. But a good number of Blackburn players have been here in other circumstances. Rovers, of course, very different. 2 years ago, under Kenny Dalglish, got into the Premier League by beating Leicester in the second division playoff final, as it was called then. Mike Newell got the goal from the penalty spot. Newell out after a cartilage operation.
This is a little sign of things to come this season. I think when the top teams get involved against each other, they're going to have to work tremendously hard for anything they get. I think we can see that already in the opening 15 minutes.
Nicely knocked off by McClare. Hughes off! Well, it was a stupendous shot. And all credit to Tim Flowers, showing England quality to keep it out.
I'll tell you what, Martin, if we're marking down saves in a season, we may just have seen one there. We all know about Hughes' remarkable ability to volley, and that was a magnificent save, it really was.
Here's Sharp. Ince behind Sharp. Pearce trying to charge out. It's make do and mend really for Blackburn in attack. But what they have in goal is very much their first choice player in that department. And Tim Flowers, down by his left-hand post, reacted so smartly. Otherwise, well, it would have been hats off to Mark Hughes at Wembley yet again.
Well, what made the save so good, Martin, as well, was he was unsighted. But it came from such a short distance. The most vulnerable area a goalkeeper has is close to his feet. But he moved so quickly and so well.
Sharp. Giggs. Manchester United at their second home here, settling down to business.
They're warming to it, they really are. Great start from Blackburn, but Manchester United players are warming to the task now.
Pallister. Now Ripley with some room to run into with the ball. Pearce to his right. Slater coming up from the right-hand side. It's through for Pearce. Pallister is the defender. Pearce has to check back. Lasso. And he couldn't get away from Kanchelskis, who was quick on the turn as well.
Not many do. It's one advantage of having Andre Kanchelskis back there in that position. Not many going to run past him.
Ian Pearce took the safe option then, just turning back. I suppose there was just half a chance he might have bought a ticket in the raffle and hoped it was the winning one. Taking an early shot as the ball was...
I think had it been on the other side, Martin, he would have pulled the trigger.
Gale going towards the near post. Schmeichel shouting loudly. And the Dane just a little annoyed with Mark Atkins, who came off the line, tried to pilfer the ball from him. Schmeichel due to play for Denmark on Wednesday. Friendly against Finland, which was in some doubt because of the bonus payments due to the Danish internationals. I believe that's been sorted out. Hughes, and Flowers can't hold it. Giggs trying to follow up. It, in fact, came pacily off the goalkeeper, a yard or so away from where Giggs hoped he would collect what would have been the opening goal.
Well, he hits it well enough, Mark Hughes, and this is his strength, turning quickly. He won't be happy with that, Tim Flowers. He would have expected to have gathered that quite comfortably, but when he needed a defender around, he had one.
McClare. Blackburn pushing out to defend the line just outside the penalty area. Of course, when they first got into the top division, they were very organised, very hard to beat. And you just feel, talking to one or two of them this week, that in these circumstances, that type of attitudes come back to their minds. They know that the odds are a bit against them here because of the absentees. they're prepared to knuckle down, battle it out, be bold when they can be, not to be over-adventurous and hopefully be able to soak up what Manchester United throw at them. But here comes Lasso in that buccaneering way of his down the left-hand side. He's gone a long way, and Michael makes the save look as straightforward as it probably was. Sometimes goalkeepers would have earned a bit more applause by turning shots like that over. Michael was already thinking about the counter-attack once the ball was in his hands.
It's good play though from Graham Lasso. He allowed Andrei Kanchelskis to make a long diagonal run, and when Blackburn won the ball back quickly, they were able to transfer it into that space that Kanchelskis had left. Well, and Lasso just galloped into it.
Player. Still such a loyal servant for Alex Ferguson. He was looking for support. Giggs couldn't quite supply it then. Here's Pearce, pressed by Pallister. Bruce, Cantona. Well, he was certainly bought off the ball.
Referees are going to be busy, Martin. That's another yellow card.
Well, Cantona, of course, can be wound up by defenders.
Well, he plays a 1-2 and Colin Henry comes in. He hangs a lazy leg there. And I think in that situation, I think even the old ruling, Philip Dawn's probably quite right.
Free kick to United, taken by May. Defended well by Berg, who had a very good season last time around, the Norwegian for Blackburn. Giggs with a flick. Oh, and Ince brought down by Colin Henry. It's a penalty to Manchester United. And Eric Cantona, who did the job from the spot twice against Chelsea in the FA Cup final, goes to collect the ball.
Well, there's no doubt. You see, Colin Henry's not, he doesn't know Ince is around. He thinks he's got time, Ince pounces. And there's no doubt in my mind, the referee's got an easy decision. That's a penalty. Here we go again. Henry thinks he can run it out, but look at the speed of Ince. On it in a flash. Henry hangs that left leg out again, and this time he's not giving away a free kick, he's giving away a penalty.
So another Wembley penalty for Eric Cantona against Tim Flowers. 1-0 to Manchester United.
I've never known a man look so confident when he takes a penalty in a game that matters, Martin. I know he missed one at the Rangers tournament last week when he was fooling around.
In a shootout.
But this, you look at this, he's so confident. I honestly didn't expect anything other than Tim Flowers walking into the back of the net to pick it out.
We're halfway through the first half. And Cantona with 25 goals last season in competitive matches for Manchester United has his first this time around at the expense of Blackburn Rovers, and Colin Henry in particular, who was palpably late, booked only seconds earlier, and Blackburn in that respect on the receiving end, and now on the scoreline as well, although Wilcox tries to repair the damage quickly. Sharp. So the Charity Shield holders, and of course remember that they scored first against Arsenal here last year, then Ian Wright conjured up an equaliser, and it went to the penalty shootout then. David Seaman had the decisive kick, as it turned out, with Schmeichel saving. Cantona. Chased effectively in the end by Atkins. Well, with these 3 yellow cards for Blackburn already, you wonder about Wembley. Sendings off few and far between in the past. Of course, Andrei Kanchelskis was sent off playing in the League Cup final here last season. And a man who knows both Blackburn and Manchester United very well, Kevin Moran, also had to walk game in which Andy Gray was playing. Back in 1985, FA Cup final, of course. Didn't do Andy and Everton much good, as it turned out, that particular day.
And it's something that we're going to have to accept, Martin, that showpieces like this in cup finals now are more and more likely to finish games with less than the full complement of players on each side.
The officials will say, until the players get the message. But it's hard if you've been earning a living a certain way for a long time to change overnight and to still feel that you're doing your job properly. Slater. Slater trying to set off down the right. He's been playing for Lens in France, had a spell with Anderlecht in Belgium prior to that. In Australia, they used to now call him the Red Baron, with a shock of red hair there. So far, so good for Manchester United, although Blackburn did begin brightly, Ripley very much to the fore. Was having to deal with 2 shots from Mark Hughes before he was beaten by Eric Cantona's expert penalty. Cantona, of course, had a hat-trick for Leeds in the Charity Shield a couple of years ago. Kanchelskis. It's to Cantona. Kanchelskis. Oh, and Philip Don helping Manchester United, happily for him, not seriously in the end. Ripley trying to take it on the run. A hand off by Steve Bruce.
Well, sure, Ripley thought so.
The referee didn't.
Just eased him out, Steve Bruce. Good defending. At the moment, Manchester United are using the ball better when they have it, keeping it for longer periods, making Blackburn work very hard when they're not in possession.
So little between them in the league games over the last 2 years. Last season, 4 points for Kenny Dalglish and company. That draw at Old Trafford when really they were so close to winning, and the 2-0 success in April. 2 Alan Shearer goals. And they'd love to have Shearer with them at the moment. And he's not far away, unlike, unfortunately for Blackburn, 1 or 2 of the other missing star names.
We were trying to work out, you and I, about just how much talent in the forward area is missing. And what is it, something like 15 million, you reckon?
I think 15 million altogether. And here's Pearce, almost showing that doesn't matter. Schmeichel was very quick as he had to be. Cantona. Now Giggs. Cantona trying to get away from Hendry in the centre. Blocked by Berg. And Slater caught from behind by Giggs.
He's getting booked and all, Martin.
Well, we used to talk about the forwards who can't tackle, who make clumsy challenges, and they were something that were really just smiled on in the game, certainly accepted.
Well, you talk about, and I accept the fact that officials will say until players learn about it, but I think referees have got a bit of learning to do as well about what actually wants a booking, even with the new rules.
Well, that's 4 now, and we haven't had half an hour.
4 and we haven't had a tackle.
Maybe Tim Sherwood's effort on it, but you and I might just differ about that one. In goes Pearce. Well, he led the race with Lee Sharp.
Sharp did enough, Martin. He was struggling. I think Lee Sharp knew that, because Pearce just pulled behind Pallister. You see there, and Sharp's just got to put him off. I don't think he's going to win it, but he just gets his body in front of him, and that's enough to put Pearce off a clear header.
Neil Pearce, formerly an England youth international, had a year in the reserves after signing from Chelsea. It chipped in with some useful performances towards the end of last season, when finally Blackburn couldn't just sustain what was just a superb challenge. They finished 8 points behind United. They won only one of their last 5 matches after that magnificent pursuit. Pallister. But in terms of the tactical approach from the two camps, Andy, not too much new to ponder on.
I think when you consider the successes of both camps last year, then why should there be too many changes, Martin? Fine-tuning as opposed to major changes, I think we'll find from these two this year.
Sherwood. So looking to be the outlet on the left again. Chelsea's there barring his way this time, so he uses Wilcox. Kinter's gone alongside Pearce. Sherwood letting fly. Well, emphatic statistic there to support Manchester United's claims that the scoreline is a justified one. But Kenny Dalglish, more than anyone, appreciates the difficulties that Blackburn Rovers are in here at this Wembley showpiece. And it's an opportunity for him as a manager to learn about one or two of his fringe players. It's good chasing back by Robbie Slater. The manager may well have noted that. Here's Henning Berg joining in midfield. Pearce trying to stay onside. Linesman is flagging. Ball almost broke back for Berg to chase again, but the game already been stopped. There's a problem right on the centre spot for Gary Pallister. Now, the new Manchester United physio this season is David Fever, who's no newcomer to Wembley. He's been here 8 times before in the sport of rugby league, 4 with Wigan, 4 with Great Britain. Parting of the ways with Jim McGregor and Manchester United. Jim, who's been such a friendly and familiar face around the scene for a long time. We wish him well in his future career.
I'm wondering, Mark, with all these new directives, isn't one that a player shouldn't get treatment on the pitch?
Well,
I mean, here's the injury. We can see here he gets involved with Ripley in the halfway line. He's stretching a bit. Perhaps turns his ankle. You see he reaches down immediately to it.
What you're not going to see is the stretches coming on like we saw in the World Cup. The Football Association have decided that because it cannot happen everywhere, that's what I've been told. I'm not so sure that I would agree with that. That they're not going to fully implement something that I think was a success in the World Cup in one particular area, is stop players feigning injury, because they had to go off straight away.
So it's still the old rule, you can get treated on the pitch.
You've just seen it. So there's David Fever, well known in the world of rugby league, now trying to do the right medical job for Manchester United. It's a fine piece of defending by Colin Hendry against Kanchelskis. Ripley. Being held at the back by Pallister. Ripley trying to see whether a quick free kick was on, and Slater as well. And in the end now they're waiting, and Phil Don's job is to get the ball back 10 yards here. There's the signal. It's a different manoeuvre there for Blackburn Rovers. Quite come off, but Ripley has the shot and hooks it wide.
Well, the signal was okay, but the delivery of the free kick wasn't up to standard.
Well, coming up on Sky Sports from the FA Carling Premiership, we start our Super Sunday next Sunday. Leicester City against Newcastle United. Leicester back amongst the big boys, and Manchester United on our Monday Night Football at the City Ground, another of the promoted clubs from the East Midlands, Nottingham Forest. A chance, we hope, to see Brian Roy, our studio guest today, show off his considerable range of skills. Wilcox. With a loud shout. And a quick throw. And Tony Gale still betting into his partnership with Colin Hendry. Gale, who was training with Barnett before Blackburn got his number. Ripley. Now Slater. Sherwood. Wilcox thinking about challenging for it and then thinking better of it because the huge frame of Peter Schmeichel was coming out towards him.
Well, he's warmed up as well. First couple of throws, quick throws out, didn't reach the target, but now Peter Schmeichel's launching that ball the way we know he can. 40, 50 yards upfield, straight to a red jersey.
Cantona, lovely ball for Giggs. Offside.
Shouldn't have been.
Andre Kanchelskis.
You know what, when a ball's played across like that and you've got a player on the far side like Andre Kanchelskis is there, you can see him on the left of the screen. And he's looking across the line. Now, is he offside? Ball's played in there. Now he's looking along the line. He's looking along the line. He shouldn't be offside. He should be keeping himself onside. Oh, it's tight. It's tight. But I think the linesman probably just right. But he shouldn't be getting offside when he can look all the way along the line.
Lasso. Here's Sherwood. To the way almost by Pallister there. Manchester United building from that. Sharp supporting Giggs. He does need some help. He got too close to him. Sherwood. Room for Ripley. Only Pearce in the middle for Blackburn. The odds favoured Manchester United, and that's the way it panned out. Ripley. Stuff ahead of Sherwood. May is there before Pearce. Cantona dropping deep again to get involved in the game and waiting his pass beautifully for Kanchelskis, who finally went down under challenge from Wilcox, who joins the list. The fourth Blackburn player to receive the yellow card in the first half here of the Charity Shield.
Well, you can see he's trying to tug away at Kanchelskis. He's pulling his arm. Had Andre Kanchelskis managed to stay on his feet, Jason Wilcox wouldn't be receiving a yellow card.
Oh, you're surprised when Cantona does that. Remember, it was his beautifully delivered pass that got Wilcox into trouble on that far side. Ripley, Giggs get for this one, he does. Suddenly there are 3 up for Manchester United. Giggs looking for Cantona. Cantona applauding the intention, but not in the end the execution.
You mentioned Stuart Ripley there, Mark, in possession. I was disappointed a moment earlier. He was backing Gary Pallister up to the edge of his box, and we know Stuart Ripley's capable of going and committing people and beating people, and he opted to try and cross it into an area where really Ian Pearce wasn't favourite at all. I'd like to have seen him drive at Gary Pallister and commit him a bit more.
just like to put this into some sort of context for you. Blackburn Rovers did not have one player sent off last season. And therefore, not amongst the teams at this level that you know have a disciplinary problem. But here they are at Wembley, in danger of having somebody sent off for a second cautionable offence. With 4 players punished by Philippe Don, who is reflecting the FIFA guidelines, the directives that go to all officials this season. Red cards and yellow cards lead to penalty points, which lead to other suspensions as the season goes on. Maybe we'll need bigger squads at the clubs. The PFA would like that, wouldn't they, the Players' Union? That would be the better side of the particular problem that their members are facing at the start of this season. Berg. He's still trying to sort out his contract with Manchester United. He's been making the right sort of conciliatory noises over the past few days. Signs, I'm sure, very promising for United fans who hate to lose him. McClare. And Chelskis racing back to make Lasso hurry his work, and in fact forcing the error. Cantona. Just the pace dropping for a moment or two as half-time approaches. It'll stay that way for long, I'm sure, between these 2 particular opponents. Blackburn investing so heavily financially to try and build a club, playing staff, a stadium to compete with the very best. They're taking on currently the very best here today. Makes winning that much more satisfying, one would expect for Alex Ferguson and all at Manchester United, that they've had to work so hard to achieve the double. Such a rare feat in football. Liverpool under Kenny Dalglish, the previous club to do it, of course, back in 1986 when Everton played in the Charity Shield. And that was easier for the FA. They were runners-up in League and FA Cup in the 85-86 season. 1-0 to Manchester United, a couple of minutes to go to half-time. The sweat for Peter Schmeichel, more from the sunshine in the first half than for any sustained pressure that Blackburn Rovers have put on his goal.
Yeah, they've just taken the foot off the pedal a bit, Manchester United, as if they're quite happy to cruise towards half-time, keep possession of the ball.
McClare. Manchester United start in the Premiership next Saturday, home to Queen's Park Rangers. Then they are at Nottingham Forest, the game you'll see live on Sky Sports. The following Saturday, away to Tottenham, always one of the traditional attractive fixtures in any season. This is Wilcox looking for something for Blackburn before half-time. Chelskis starting to motor. Giggs, McClare, nudging it forward to Hughes, strong enough to withstand the challenge. And Chelskis to his right. Tony Gale, grateful that the cross came his way. Gale connection with Blackburn, incidentally Ray Harford was involved with Tony in their days at Fulham together. Gale working well again, justifying the faith that Ray Harford and Kenny Dalglish have put in him at the moment. This is Ripley. May meeting the cross. Michael able to catch it.
It's a decent cross. Ian Pearce has got a choice. He either pulls to the back or he makes a run inside David May. He opts to hold back post, and that made David May's job a lot easier. They've got themselves into some decent situations, Blackburn. But their final ball really hasn't been up to it at the moment. And I don't think that's any surprise when we see the amount of attacking talent that they've got sitting in the stands today.
And one or two of the players who are wearing the famous blue and white cards are not 100% fit. And what's Philip Don going to make of this? Hughes is penalised in that the free kick is given to Blackburn, but nothing more than that.
You can see Sherwood wraps his foot round the ball, and Mark Hughes is having a little niggle. Little one. Sherwood doesn't like it. Very much like one or two people have been booked for already today.
Slater. It's worth a crack, and it's a good one. Schmeichel's fumbled it, but not enough for Mark Atkins to punish. He was following in. Good try by Slater.
Good enterprise. Tucks inside. Lee Sharp, and we're always talking about going across goalkeepers. There's an example of why. Had that bounced out another yard or two, and Blackburn have got a player running in on that. I think the surprise element was there. I don't think Peter Schmeichel quite expected that. But it hit very well from Robbie Slater.
A long time ago now, Robbie Slater had a spell at Nottingham Forest, but they didn't pursue their interest in him. He's now finally getting his chance in England. Pearce. Slater is free. Rousing finish in the first half from Rovers. Slater with the cross, but they're short of numbers in the centre.
That was a pity. That's about the best move they put together in the first half, Blackburn. Worked it very well from one side of the field to the other, but lacking bodies in the middle of the goal.
Terrifically well taken by Giggs on the run. Hughes was launching himself for an overhead kick, and very brave play by Henningberg. But it was a supercharged sprint from Giggs in the first place. Now Pearce, game spread at the moment. Sherwood going in, and Schmeichel didn't like that. Is that the final act of the first half? Philip Don says, I'll have the ball. And Eric Cantona's penalty separates the double winners of last season from the side who finished second in the Premiership. Paul Ince was brought down by Colin Hendry for the penalty, and Cantona showed that ice-cool temperament that we saw in the FA Cup final when he struck home twice from the spot then. So at half-time here, a lot to talk about during the interval with the rash of yellow cards. It's Manchester United 1, Blackburn Rovers 0. The Charity Shield's prominent place on the football calendar came from its switch to Wembley 20 years ago now. 1974, Leeds played Liverpool. Billy Bremner and Kevin Keegan was sent off. Very fiercely contested afternoon. And Philip Don comes out to a cacophony of boos from the fans for a strict interpretation of the FIFA directives in the first half. The 5 bookings and the possibility of a second yellow card for any of those 5 players. Something for Kenny Dalglish and Ray Harford to ponder on. Incidentally, Ray's son, Paul Harford, is one of the Blackburn substitutes today. Here he is. 19 years old. He's a trainee at Arsenal. Linked up with his father at Ewood Park. So it's 1-0 to Manchester United. United themselves could nominate 5 substitutes, but have only brought 4 backup players here. No substitute goalkeeper. Gary Walsh has been ill. Giggs. Cantona. spotting Kanchelskis and finding him effortlessly. May will enjoy being a winner today, one would suspect. But there's a bit to be done yet for Manchester United, despite their first half supremacy. Blackburn, great battlers. But Mark Hughes carrying the fight forward for United and earning them a corner at the start of the second half. Kanchelskis spotting the ball up, but just waiting for Giggs to come across. Bruce has come forward. Gary Pallister waiting by the near post. Any sort of flick on. Oh, very nearly causing the right sort of discomfort to Rovers.
Well, that was just a bit perfect, Mark. Delivery was good from Giggs. The touch from Pallister was as fake as it needed to be. The only thing missing was a runner. Pollins actually gets in there. Like Brian Robson of old, you see him straight in there behind the play, but fractionally away from it. And that was the only thing missing from that.
Bruce. Well, Nick Collins has been talking to both camps during the half-time break. Let's hear the news. Nick.
Well, Martin, Ray Harford actually stopped referee Phil Don at the top of the tunnel just before the teams came out for the second half, and he was clearly actually looking for some kind of clarification as to the new instructions. He said to Phil Don, are you under instructions to book people for every tackle? And the referee actually had to explain very clearly to Ray Harford exactly what his instructions were. So there is some confusion and consternation in the Blackburn camp about the new interpretation of some of these rules.
Burke. There's a problem there for Gary Pallister with the sun in his eyes, and the outcome is a corner for Blackburn Rovers. Yelled on by their fans, who are savouring a relatively rare experience of seeing Rovers play at Wembley. As I say, they qualified for the Premiership through the playoffs playing here a couple of years ago. Back in '87, they won the Full Members' Cup with a goal from Colin Hendry. Of course, there's a pack of players waiting in the penalty area at that corner. Hendry was playing as a central striker that day. Sherwood. Well, Jason Wilcox ran a long way in behind Manchester United, but couldn't get a deep enough cross in. Cantona. Well, it stays just at 1-0. Rovers will still feel, despite their difficulties, that they're in with a chance here in the Charity Shield. Hughes. Kanchelskis not quite appreciating that attempt to find him. Mark Hughes, who I would say last season must have had his best season, and he's had some pretty good ones. Bruce. Nicely done. Not when it came to the pass. A bit carried away then. Sherwood. Slater has already produced one strong shot. This time it's a cross towards Ian Pearce. Watched well by May, who's looked very composed. Of course, can play in the central defence and gives Manchester United cover for Bruce and Pallister, as well as his present job today at right back. Hendry. Slater. Sherwood calling for the ball and getting it, wanting Slater to go for the return.
It's a great start from Blackburn.
And their long line of injured players have all come down to join the fans here. to add their support to Rovers in their problematic position. Acceleration from Cantona. Hughes lets it run. Spotted McClare, or maybe hearing the call. Didn't quite come off for United.
I think he probably got a call there from Hughes.
Pressure applied by Pearce. It's a mouth-watering prospect. Chris Sutton lining up with Alan Shearer. Sutton in the back left of your picture. David Batty, I think we'll have to wait a bit to see him back in Blackburn's midfield. He played through the latter weeks of last season with a foot injury that required injections, and we tend to pay a price for that. Here's Giggs. Sherwood working back very well. Batting in again. Atkins. Blackburn showing signs of mixing it up a little bit positionally. Wilcox in the centre, we've seen him wide on the right, trying to make Manchester United think a bit more in the way they have to defend. Wilcox, who caught the eye of Terry Venables last season, he was called up for a training squad for the England senior side.
That's been the major difference in the last one. Manchester United have looked far more threatening when they were in Blackburn's last third, whereas I think United on the whole have coped quite comfortably defensively today.
Back. Sure. Into passing. Blackburn, but not getting them very far. It's picked up in the end easily enough by Ince. Cantona. Such great counter-attack as Manchester United. Got all the weapons to do that. The devastating effect. Kanchelskis, and it flies into the side netting.
Graham Lasso did well. The one thing you don't want to do when you face someone with the pace of Kanchelskis is commit yourself to a tackle too early. Watch the way he just backs off here. He doesn't come in. He says to Kanchelskis, if you're going to beat me, then you're going to have to do something special. Turns very quickly. Kanchelskis can't get away from him and is unable to get the ball across. That was good defending from Graham Lasso.
Blackburn start their league season at Southampton. Home matches against Coventry and Leicester. What sort of side is Kenny Dalglish going to be able to put out next weekend? The side that he's produced here, sticking to their guns, keeping Manchester United still within reach. McClare. Taking charge.
When he drops into that midfield area, Eric Cantona, it really does cause problems to Blackburn's two central midfield area, players Atkins and Sherwood. They then have three to deal with, and the interpassing has been so good, they've had problems with it all day.
Slater. And it's a tame finish from Atkins. It all started with a terrific ball left to right, Graham Lasso to Stuart Ripley.
I don't know whether Ian Atkins believed he could actually score there. It was like a Mark Atkins, it was like a token gesture, the shot, really.
On his birthday, he couldn't give himself a present that would have been much appreciated by Blackburn Rovers. Here's Berg. McAllister, who always looks so commanding. His physique gives you that impression. Say nothing of his ability. He goes back to his old club Middlesbrough for a game next week. Manchester United playing Brian Robson's new club. Gary Pallister was telling me he would be a captain. He said he's going to take the penalties and the free kicks and really enjoy a nostalgic return. Of course, he scored a famous free kick against Blackburn, didn't he, on the day Manchester United celebrated winning the Premier League title 2 seasons ago. No progress there for Lee Sharp. Pitts showing it well. Gale. Sherwood. Yes, started the move, really. Was charging on through the centre, but Bruce had kept pace with him all the way.
Well, it's a yard away from being a magnificent ball from Sherwood. But credit Steve Bruce. Spotted it early and was able to do just enough and knock it back to his goalkeeper.
Matteo got a bit lucky there against Wilcox, but his pass was a poor one. And so was able to hammer it out of harm's way. May's cross. Hendry and May were so confusable when they were in the same side. As the commentators will be pleased that David May has forsaken the opportunity to play alongside Colin Hendry again. Two blondes who often competed for the same ball in the air, it seemed. Absolutely sure which of them had done the job. Cantona. Sharp. Plenty of options here for United. Hughes trying to lift it over for Giggs. Back with Pallister. Bruce is telling him to play it back to Schmeichel. Hughes. So getting the better of Kanchelskis for a moment, but not clearing decisively. Here's Cantona. Blackburn really penned back at the moment. Atkins the first player to try and defend, but United find a way past the whole posse of midfield men for Rovers. Ince, fine play this. Is there going to be a finish to it? It might come from Kanchelskis. Still Kanchelskis.
Well, that's the difference shown in this move here. So many options for United when they get along the 18-yard box. So much movement. Not only that, so many players into that movement. Not afraid to throw midfield players forward. Look at Paulins, almost the furthest forward there. Looking for Giggs. They've all moved away from Giggs. Suck people in. Kanchelskis is left an acres of space here. You think he's going to shoot? Drags it inside. Creates the opening. And that's the poorest part of the whole move.
And there was no stinting on the work from Blackburn. 7 or 8 players there really busting a gut to try and stop the move developing, but they just couldn't do that. Giggs. Against Berg. Pass Berg. Ryan Giggs. Well, the second goal seems so soon to be coming, but it hasn't arrived yet.
Well, that's vintage Giggs as far as I'm concerned. When he's going at pace, now watch Berg, he's trying to push him inside on his right foot, but as soon as Giggs turns him once, then twice, Berg's totally lost. Does everything right in going across goal.
Atkins. It's still only 1-0 to Manchester United. Sherwood. United showed it slow to close him down, and Schmeichel is angry about that with some justification.
You could see what Berg was trying to do, Mark. He was trying to push him in on his right foot. He wants Giggs to come in here, but Giggs is having none of it. He turns him one way, then the other, and look how close he is to finishing off that wonderful run. But that, to me, is what Ryan Giggs is all about.
Well, we're looking at a defender with a real international pedigree in Henning Berg. There's nothing he could do there. And as the months go by and Ryan Giggs gets even more experienced, gets physically to maturity, we feel that there is still more to come, and we've seen plenty already from him. Remember last season he contributed 17 goals to Manchester United's effort. Ripley. Too much sign of Blackburn getting a goal here, but you never know with the Kenny Dalglish team. Cantona, Hughes, who's sometimes a better bet from the edge of the area than he is from closer range, but he didn't come up with the spectacular shot that time. Great setup for Cantona.
One for the scrapbook. I'm not so sure Giggs isn't aiming for Kanchelskis here, but he picks out Cantona. And here's one. It's not often Mark Hughes fails to control a volley. Normally loves that when it was bouncing perfectly for him.
Andy, let me throw something at you here. We've had 15 minutes without a booking in the second half. Now, has the message got through from the referee? And the game is exciting enough. Is that because of the clampdown?
I would suggest not, Mark. I think we've just been lucky that the referee hasn't been forced to decide that in a tackle, we've hardly had a tackle the second half.
Are they frightened to tackle?
Well, this is what worries me. This should never become a non-contact sport, and I hope that's not the way we're heading.
And it should never become a non-emotional sport as well. There are certain parts of the legislation that works against the passion of play.
There's enough in the first hour, Mark, to suggest to the rest of the footballing world here that Manchester United, a week from the beginning of the season, look pretty good.
This is Jason Wilcox trying to look good for Blackburn. And so, it's there at his side to bend in the cross. It's beyond Schmeichel. And it's just gone out of play. So's deep cross, Pearce coming in beyond the far post. Not quite for Blackburn, but a note of encouragement. Here's Hughes. Kenny Dalglish contemplating perhaps making a change here to try and pep up his attack. He's got 21-year-old Peter Thorne, a new name to many of you, I'm sure, who's learnt his trade in the lower ranks at Ewood Park. He's one of the options from the bench. Here he is. Comes from Manchester, incidentally, from a United family, although he says he used to keep an eye on both United and City as a youngster. And he'll take over from Mark Atkins. Well, normally Peter Thorne would be way down the pecking order for a place as a striker in Blackburn Rovers. First in, he had a run out at Celtic, but competitively, this is his debut for the senior side. That's Lasso. He put in a couple of fizzers in the league last season. Coventry, and of course one against Chelsea at Ewood Park that he remembers with special satisfaction.
This one very ambitious. Well, Peter Schmeichel, like most goalkeepers, not happy when they're not put under pressure, people. He didn't quite put him under enough pressure. But I would have been surprised if Graham Lasso had beaten a goalkeeper of Schmeichel's quality from that range.
Well, what we've got now, Andy, is Robbie Slater in the middle of midfield where Atkins was playing. Stuart Ripley wide right. And instead of Ripley up front, it's this fella, Peter Thorne. Looking for Pearce. Might drop for Ripley. Sharp at his back. Ripley pass Sharp. Wilcox. Well, a couple of strikes at goal from Blackburn Rovers in quick succession.
That one a good effort. Took it on quite comfortable and taking this onto his right foot, which isn't his strongest, Jason Wilcox, but he did rifle one or two in from that kind of area last season. But it was always rising above the crossbar.
Thorne. He's certainly well built for the job of playing up front. A spell on loan at Wigan last season. His flick, Pearce back for Thorne again. It's been an eventful introduction for him. He's seen plenty of the ball. Just put off his stride as he set himself for the shot.
Well, when a game's set, Martin, sometimes you just throw on a player and it can alter it and it can change it your way. And there's young legs and keen legs. Peter Thorne's trying to impress his manager. And he's certainly made a bright start.
Ferguson spotted something that he wants sorting out. It's as good a spell for Blackburn as they've had in the match. Sherwood. Ripley. And Rovers have the corner.
I think Ripley's happier there. I think that's noticeable as well, even this early on in the change.
He'll take the corner, trying to get it short to Wilcox. The execution not quite right there. Giggs. Clare finding a bit of room for himself. Help at hand in the shape of Kanchelskis. It's Cantonaro's moved wide to the far side, loitering on the left. And we look at the build-up, seeing whether it might be an avenue for United to explore. But they don't work the ball across that way, and it's Sherwood. Wilcox on the run, Pallister needing to accelerate. And pulled down by Wilcox, who of course was booked in the first half for pulling back Kanchelskis when he was defending. This time Wilcox was the attacker. It was a similar sort of infringement.
Exactly. That's what we wonder about this, because that doesn't look any less of an infringement. In fact, if you swap jumpers here, if you showed Kanchelskis, it would be exactly the same, Martin. But he gets booked in the first half, and I'm sure because he's already been booked, Don doesn't want to send a player off for that. You've got to find a lot of players who haven't been booked in the game get booked for nothing tackles.
Minutes to go. Should Blackburn equalise? No extra time, of course, but there would be a penalty shootout as we had last year between Manchester United and Arsenal. Anticipated where that was going to go. David May moving Newwood Park on very good terms with all the rest of the players. And he's in the other camp now, and will expect to be treated as such. That's judged by Gale. Why not, after all the years he's been in the game? Ripley. Outside of the foot from Schmeichel. Gale. Tim Flowers taking charge of the situation, telling Tony Gale he's got time to just ease it back as Rovers galvanise themselves for more attacking work. Really would be some achievement if they were to get level with this patched up team. And so, very much one of the first choice players who is fit. Pearce. Wilcox. Wilcox again. Behind Thorne, Ripley tried to reach it. Sherwood thrust out a foot, claimed that he didn't have the last touch, but he did, and it gives us a chance to talk again to Nick Collins. Nick.
Well, Martin, a quick indication of the spirit which exists between the two benches. Just now, Blackburn coach Tony Parks came over to United's kitman Norman Medhurst and asked for some studs for Tony Gale. Tony Gale had problems with his studs. Norman happy to oblige. Tony Gale now has his new studs, so there might be rivals out on the pitch, but it's certainly a friendly rivalry.
Slip of the tongue, Nick, I think, but Norman Davis it is, the long-serving kitman at Old Trafford. On goes Ripley. Down goes Ripley. It's going to be a booking for Sharp. First of the second half, the sixth caution of the game.
Well, I don't think there's any argument about this one. He's always looked like he's struggling here. That push of the ball there takes him away from Lee Sharp, and all he can do is bring Stuart Ripley down.
So is this the moment for Blackburn Rovers at Wembley? Possibility of an equaliser here. Sherwood. For Wilcox. Struck Paul Ince. Slater easing it back to Lasso. United have pushed out. Sharp, who was responsible for the problems in giving away the free kick. There's Sherwood. Certainly not given this game up yet, Blackburn Rovers. Ripley, lovely turn. Shot deflected. Oh! And Ian Pearce came in with a lot of the goal in front of him to aim at, with Schmeichel wrong-footed, and it was a great chance for Blackburn to draw level.
Great skill from Ripley. Steve Bruce thinks he's going outside, turns inside. They get a bit of luck with the rebound, and really Ian Pearce, with a goal at his mercy, should at least hit the target. If he makes Schmeichel make a save, yeah, I've got some sympathy with him, but you've got to hit the target. Chances have been few and far between from Blackburn. Certainly chances of this quality. And look at that. It's the top of his foot, off his toe. And what's that, 2 yards wide?
Yes, it was too near the toe, wasn't it? Had it been on the meat of the side of the foot there, it would have been 1-1. Bruce having been left a bit with egg on his face by Ripley, trying to get to the ball there. It's a good turn by Thorne. And it's Pearce again. Schmeichel was caught in two minds, it seemed. They got lucky.
You're exactly right, Martin. He did get caught in two minds. He stops on his way out. Lovely ball through here, and I thought, come on, goalkeeper, it's yours. But look, he stopped. But when he needs a bit of luck, look at that. That's when it's with you.
Well, suddenly, Blackburn Rovers finding an ascendancy in terms of possession and penetration that they haven't shown earlier in the game. Attacking the end behind which their supporters amassed. Lasso. Here's Slater. All urgency about Blackburn. Concern for Manchester United here. And Bruce, that's got to be a booking as well, surely. So it's 3 yellow cards for the team in the red shirts against 4 for Blackburn.
Well, the tails are up. Blackburn's, that's the secret behind it just now. They've upped the pace of the game. Manchester United have wanted the game played at a slower pace when they had the ball. Blackburn need it played at a quicker tempo. And at the moment they're having a lot of joy.
15 minutes to go. Well, That's our new computerised system. It tells you how far the wall is back. It's back the right distance now, 10 yards, of course, the proper distance. And here goes Tim Sherwood. The wall does its job. Lasso's angry, but he thought the line wasn't in the correct position. May having to win the header there against Hendry. Well, all praise here for the bravery of Blackburn when they were invited to... Ooh, there's a tangle here with Ince and Wilcox. Steve Bruce on the list of bookings. When Blackburn qualify or were invited to participate in this match, this is not the side you would have expected them to field, not by any means, but the team are out there putting on a very good show as they still try to repair the damage caused by Hendry's foul on Ince that led to Cantona's successful penalty, the only goal of the game.
Well, for the first time in the match, Blackburn are able to deny United as much possession as they want.
Ferguson not looking for his substitutes, Nicky Butt, Keith Gillespie, the young Irish winger, Dion Dublin, of course, and Chris Casper. Chris Casper's father, Frank, played in the last Charity Shield that wasn't staged at Wembley back in 1973. Frank Casper for Burnley. They were winners against Manchester City. Smaller crowds in those days. 60,000 at Wembley today. I would think the majority is looking round in red and white rather than blue and white, although Blackburn very well represented. It's turned out to be a good contest. I wondered in the first half whether Blackburn might be blown away, having conceded a goal relatively early in the piece. Ferguson still not with the comfort of feeling that his team are going to win at Wembley again. To positional instructions passed out there, possibly towards Ryan Giggs. Maybe feeling that the game has got a bit stretched, trying to compress the play a bit more. There's plenty of room for Blackburn to work in the United half. Now the counter-attackers try to land the punch once more. The way they've operated so often in the past so successfully. Kanchelskis, not a good cross when Cantona is pulling away to the far post. Hughes moving towards that area as well.
Great example of what teams are up against. You feel you've got United under pressure, you feel you've got them where you want them, and within 5 or 6 seconds they're at your throat again, up your end of the pitch.
And Paul Ince has gone across just to get the chapter and verse from Alec Ferguson about what those instructions were. Giggs with the corner. It's Thorne who got to it. Came on to Blackburn. Clash of the crew cuts there, Slater and Lassoe. Slater a little angry with the pass, frustrated. Blackburn know that they're in good shape at the moment and they want to keep going forward, but they're finding Cantona to craft something. It drops off his head for Kanchelskis. May. And you have to get used to seeing it. David May, Manchester United. Joined Blackburn in July '86. Trainee. In fact, even before that he was on schoolboy forms at the club. Almost went for flowers, he didn't call loudly enough. Hendry decided he had to take Ince! 2-0! And that should mean the Charity Shield for Manchester United in spectacular fashion. He flew through the air with the greatest of ease. A brilliant goal from Ince.
Spectacular. We're used to seeing Mark Hughes do this sort of thing. Look how he enjoyed that. He's ran 40 yards to the crowd. But Eric Cantona does everything right here. Look at the way he holds off the defender. Just knocks it back in. And how is that for skill? How is that for technique? That's absolutely first class. Watch Cantona. He holds him off. He knows he's only nicking it into an area. But what about that for skill?
Should Flowers have demanded the original ball in, though, but Hendry only half cleared it.
He may have demanded it, Martin, yeah, but as defenders, their job, I think, is to put a head on it. They can't be leaving it unless they're 100% sure. My question was, should he have come then when Colin Hendry had knocked up into the air? I think he thought about it, backed onto his line.
Well, Paul Ince likes to get Blackburn Rovers in his sights, doesn't he? That equaliser in the Premiership at Old Trafford at such a crucial stage, it turned out to be a very, very valuable goal indeed in the league last season. And if you remember the season before, in that 3-1 finale, the Championship one against Rovers at Old Trafford, Ince was also a scorer. And he's done it again here. A very timely moment for Manchester United. When Blackburn were really making an impression on the game for really the first time. That's Hendry. And it's the outside of the net when they badly needed a ball to nestle on the inside of it.
Well, people on this side of the ground thought this had gone into the net, Mark. All the Blackburn supporters were up here, but Graham Lasso didn't give this up. He's stuck at it, tries to beat David May, it drops to Hendry, who's scored plenty goals in his time. But look at this. Bump. And watch this. Great technique. Great technique.
Well, he is one of the competitors in a very competitive team. Remember his run in the FA Cup final in the closing seconds when the game was over, dead and buried, but still he went on to set up Brian McClair for number 4 and rub salt in Chelsea's wounds. And the message will be from the Manchester United supporters to the Manchester United management: get that contract sorted out quickly. We want him for another 6 years. Ripley. Oh, it was retrieved pretty well by Peter Thorne. Pearce was in the middle.
But the difference there in what you say, Pearce was in the middle. Only one option, Martin. Whereas today, when Manchester United found themselves in this sort of position, they've had 2, 3, and sometimes 4 red jerseys going in on it. As I say, with the amount of talent, attacking talent that Kenny Dalglish doesn't have to choose from today, I don't think we should be surprised about that. But talk about taking the wind out of the sails, the best spell in the game for you. And what did Manchester United do? Break up the park, get a corner, and you're 2-0 down, and basically out the game.
Hughes. McClair. Keeping it ticking over for Manchester United in midfield. Kanchelskis. Is he away here? Hendry with that sword of Damocles hanging over him, the yellow card from early in the game. Had to be sure he was going to get that. And he did. It's sharp.
This is a killer in a hot day like this when you're chasing the game, when the team's popping the ball around the back. You just can't get it off them.
And this is using up time within the laws of the game. Let's hope they don't start dishing out yellow cards for this. It's great skill, and keep ball could become more than that if United suddenly spot a pass of a more progressive nature. Mark Hughes wants to be involved through the middle. Kanchelskis. David May won't get there. Hendry does. For Slater. From Slater to Ripley. It's another promising run from Ripley down the right-hand side. Sherwood. Pallister taking no chance. Four minutes to go. Blackburn 2 adrift. Headed wide by Sherwood. Dale had made the first run. Well, we're all really looking forward to next weekend and the start of the Premiership. Here on your football channel, we begin with a first look at Leicester City and the entertainers, Newcastle United, going to Filbert Street. Super Sunday starts at 3 o'clock. Monday night, it's Manchester United at Nottingham Forest. Giggs. And that's just the start. We're backing up the live action with a whole host of programmes tailored for football fans.
Well, they just lose sight of the ball. Both Hughes and Gale lost it in the sun. But Giggs looks to be, well, he looks to be relishing the thought of it next week.
2-0 to Manchester United here. It was 2-0 to Kenny Dalglish's team to Ewood Park in April. 2 goals from Alan Shearer. But his absence, critical blow, and he's not the only one out. Ripley, taken on by Berg. Thorne trying to get there. Quick off the blocks with Bruce.
And that'll be the only thing that Kenny will want this week. Is I don't know how many of his players, Martin, these important players, are near to fitness.
Well, Chris Sutton is, Alan Shearer is. Mike Newell's had surgery. David Batty, as we've seen, has come out here with help with crutches. He's the fine £1 million man.
I'm sure if he got those 2 back, that would make him smell a little bit better next Saturday.
Hughes offside. Cantona didn't quite come quickly enough for Manchester United. So Cantona will be heading for an enforced rest. Whether he'll go back to France, I don't know. The referee, Philip Don, will. He's got a family holiday to resume. Flying back to Nice tomorrow morning. I hope he'll have found time to fill in his report before he goes. Need a bit of time. Here's Ince. Hughes. Trying to find a way through, then trying to, as he lost his balance, to work it wide to Kanchelskis. Didn't happen from another instant. Wilcox. Of course, dealing with some of the bad tackling is trying to address a problem that Blackburn have. Players injured through being fouled, because that's not the case for all the absentees. Can't legislate for some bad fish that Alan Shearer ate when he was on holiday. Kanchelskis, lovely run. Hughes flew just over Flowers and just over the bar.
Well, you and I watched this Manchester United side a week ago at the Rangers tournament, and they've come on a bundle since then. They look that week fitter, sharper. It's added it to them. They all look as if they're up for it now. They back off, and the one thing you can't do with Mark Hughes is back off too long.
Well, it's been a brave show from Blackburn. They were certainly in it until a moment of real inspiration from Paul Ince. Done by Pearce. Here's Peter Thorne. But Pearce again. Good interplay between the 2 front men. Schmeichel didn't get there the first time. Pearce was past him, but not in control of his own movement. And as he crashed down, chance crashed away from Blackburn. The ball rolled tamely back to the Manchester United goalkeeper. Pearce is now offside.
Oh, he wouldn't have scored anyway, Martin. Something would have happened that would have brought it back into Peter Schmeichel's arms. Oh, we talk about goalkeepers riding their luck and getting a bit of luck, but watch this. Pearce goes past him. You think, oh well, Schmeichel's out of it now because Pearce is round him, but watch this. A back heel straight into the goalkeeper's arms.
Hendry. It's another trophy for Manchester United. The double winners of last season now retain the Charity Shield. Too good in the end for a below-strength Blackburn Rovers, with Paul Ince sealing the victory spectacularly near the end with a wonderful overhead goal. Eric Cantona got it going for Manchester United. They were the better side clearly in the first half. Cantona's penalty after a foul on Ince by Colin Hendry. But Blackburn really battled in the second half and were playing their most incisive football in the match when Hendry's half clearance only came back towards Ince, and suddenly it was 2-0 and game over. But both sides, I'm sure, Andy, will put the result into proper perspective. But winning at Wembley in any circumstances is a very sweet experience.
It is, Martin, but in normal circumstances, with two full-strength teams out, we may have been able to read a little bit more into it. I think it's a scoreline that won't surprise anyone who's been here today and who's watched the game.
So Tom Finney, who of course lives very close to Blackburn, at Preston, the guest of honour today, a great Lancastrian footballer in his prime, who graced the Wembley turf many times during his 76 appearances for England, and a Lancastrian occasion here. Well, many Blackburn fans, I'm sure, still pinching themselves to believe what's happened over the past couple of years. But you can believe that Jack Walker and Kenny Dalglish do not like coming second, and they will dig deep again. I wonder whether there'll be some more transfer business coming up in the next few days. Alec Ferguson was telling me this morning that he might yet look to sign another Englishman before the European deadline. That's coming up shortly. So up come Manchester United as Jack Walker watches on. Steve Bruce knows these steps so well, and so do the United players behind him. Up here to collect the FA Cup only 3 months ago, up here to pick up the Charity Shield this time last year. Manchester United currently setting the standards in the English game. Staying at the top is tougher than getting there in the first place, and they'd be happy to be back here this time next year to go for the hat-trick. Well, today it's hats off to Manchester United again. And the Charity Shield stays amongst the silverware at Old Trafford.